With the running game, I mean, I think it's fairly simple. You've had your best 3 rushing games of the season the last 3 weeks, and you've had some stability on the line, and you've had George back. I mean, is it that simple? I mean, when you get the guys you're supposed to have out there that you're getting the results you want?
Well, I wish it was always that simple, but it's a lot of work that goes into not only identifying what we do well, what our personnel does well, what schemes that our offensive line is good at running, what our backs feel comfortable with too, and their reads, but obviously who we're playing that particular week and what fronts are they running, BJ, what coverages, where are the extra fits, where are they getting help in the run game, what safeties are they rotating into the box. That's different every week. And so being able to spend more time and put a thorough plan together on, how we are going to handle the box and attack the box and what run plays do we do well. And how are we going to get an extra number into the blocking schemes, whether it's a wide receiver, or, obviously a tight end moving in from outside the core.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, it's senior night this weekend. You guys are going to honor 24 seniors, especially as a first-time head coach. What has this senior class meant to you?
They've been awesome, and especially, as we made tremendous growth here in the last month or so, and as we continue to do so, they've been a big, big piece of that. Our leadership group, not only the seniors that are in the leadership group, but all the seniors in general. Knowing most of them from being here before and or recruiting them, it's been such an honor, and even the ones that weren't here previous too, it's been such an honor to be able to spend this year with them and to be able to see their growth over the season and really what they've done, to help this team grow here in the last month and a half.
You guys are facing a program in New Mexico this weekend that isn't really known as a powerhouse in the conference. You have a big game next weekend against San Diego State. I know you guys, the staff, aren't looking ahead, but with the players, how do you guys keep those guys focused from week to week?
You know what? I know this week we're going to have a team that's going to come in here and give us their very best to accomplish their goal on the blue. They've got coaches that are extremely, extremely good at what they do and very well admired, throughout this game. And so our focus is always on the task at hand and what we're doing to grow. As much as we have, a triple option to face and a scheme that is pretty unique on defense and has been pretty successful. I know, there's a lot of people that watch this particular defense and try to rip or emulate or steal certain things from this particular defense that Rocky Long has created. And so there are going to be challenges that we've got to be ready to handle. And that's what we're focusing on. And, for the guys that they came here this morning, did a tremendous job. They had an unbelievable workout, not only in a walkthrough on the field, but what they did in the weight room. They got their rest. We needed our rest after last week. That's the other thing that came up, BJ, as you asked. I mean, there were some guys that were tired. It was a grind, getting ready in that short week. And there were some guys that were tired and a little bit of fatigue. And as you guys know, we were missing a few guys in last week's game, but it was tremendous for them to be able to get the rest over the weekend and come back recharged. And they got after it today.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to talk about the Demetri Washington interception, the strategy behind it. Obviously it worked, but was that a zone blitz where you take a guy on the line and back him up for whatever reason? Could you just kind of tell me what you can say about it?
So that's probably, anybody that watches our film is going to know that's the highest hit in terms of the pressures. And it's, we're blitzing from the field side and the boundary side's dropping out. We actually blew the coverage. I'm sure you saw that too. But that's what happens when you create pressure. The front's got to save the coverage sometimes. And the nose guard, I'll tell you this, Jackson Cravens had a huge part to do with that interception. He did a great job with his movement within the pressure and collapsing the pocket and pressing the offensive lineman back into the quarterback. Quarterback, obviously is scrambling and throws the ball, gets tipped, and Dimitri's responsibility dropping into the boundary there. He did a really nice job and was in the right spot at the right time, capitalize. And we got to do a better job blocking for him so he can finish that thing off. He just ran out of a little bit of space, but it was really impressive. It was obviously a huge play that we needed at that point in the game to create some momentum for ourselves and be able to put that game away. And so, Dimitri has been playing fantastic here in the really the last month, coming off of his season last year and his recovery and what he's been doing. The way he's moving right now, Johnny, I mean, it is, you wouldn't even you can't tell anymore. He's coming off of what happened to him last year. Not only the way he's moving, the way he's pass rushing, but the way he's playing in the run game too. I mean, he's been setting edges and doing it in an elite way.
I thought it was funny. Hank said, Jonah Dalmas, I love him, but I don't want him kicking this many field goals. We want to get in the end zone. Have you been able to pinpoint maybe some of the deficiencies there, what you've seen with this tape added on to some of the others? What do you think of your offense in the red zone, Coach? Where can you get better?
Well, number one, it starts with us as coaches, and I'll say that. I'm going to keep it to that. I'm obviously not going to talk about the schemes that we decided that we're going to get better at and what we're going to do, but it starts with us with the efficiency and keeping that rhythm, right, Johnny? We got to keep the rhythm as we move, because even especially last week early on in the game, we were able to get the offense in rhythm and get going down the field pretty quickly. Run game, pass game, and then we get in there. We as coaches got to keep the offense in rhythm and do a great job with that within the week, right? So it's not just why did this happen on game day or whatever. It's how we get the team in rhythm during the week through the course of practice, and making sure that they have the utmost confidence that when we get into that zone or any other zone on the field, they know exactly what they're doing and they can execute it with a certain mentality. And that's where we really got to improve. That's where it starts. Period. You improve the run game on either side of the ball. It's going to start with the confidence and the mentality.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
So Will, Paul J, and then Mike.
Hey, Andy, what'd you like most about your defensive performance on Saturday?
There's physical. We made a huge emphasis on the run game and knowing the quarterback's number was going to be a part of the run game and how we were going to make sure that we handled all our fits. And there was a couple things we had to adjust on how we were fitting things, knowing that if we didn't adjust them, there were going to be issues in the game. And the guys handled that through the course of the week. The thing about the run game, there were times when we tackled really, really well. I mean, from early on, and there were times when we did not tackle well. And as we spoke about, simply tackling, if a team runs, the ball 25 times and the running back's falling forward for 3 yards, you can do the math. That's a lot of yards added on. So not only is it the run fits in themselves and us handling our gap responsibility and where we need to be, but how we're finishing. And again, at times that was really good. Like early on, Caleb Biggers came in from the outside in, and that was a tremendous tackle. That was a knockback tackle. We got to see some more of those and how we're fitting. Ty Jones had a couple. He came from the roof on one, down on a fit off the edge, and it was textbook. His punch timing and the way he used his shoulder pad to get the knockback on a positive angle tackle. Those are the things we got to keep creating confidence in. There's area for improvement everywhere, and that's one of them that we talked to the guys about today, and just creating consistency with that.
You look at New Mexico's offense, what stands out to you about that unit?
That we're going to have to be tremendous. We have some serious discipline with our eyes and our fits. I mean, we're facing the triple option again. And so we get an opportunity to improve our discipline with our keys and make sure we have an understanding of what our keys are and really improve our fundamentals that are going to make the schemes. It's anytime you're facing the triple option, everybody's got to do their job. There's going to be a lot of one-on-one tackles. So as we just spoke about, not only do we got to work on our keys and our fits, but the ability to finish consistently, in these one-on-one situations.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, Will stole my question, so we'll go to the other side of the ball.
I know you got some backups. Come on, Paul J. Don't act like you don't have a list right there.
Well, you got, the old history one, the best history one, passed for 506 yards against them in 2015 and lost. So that's bad.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad history. They probably won't throw the ball. They've been less than 100 yards in the last two games through the air. You got the triple option going. You know how to defend that. Defensively, what do they do?
So again, it's Rocky Long's. I mean, what he has made, and again, there are a lot of people that respect Coach Long for not only the man he is, what he's done in this game, but the defense he's created. He's got a coaching tree of defensive coordinators that have been very successful that are all over college football. And, structurally, they're going to mix it up in the front. It's one of the hardest things between 4-man fronts and the pressures they'll bring and 3-man fronts and the things they'll do. And their fronts and their bodies are multiple within their front. They can do a lot of different things. And that's going to be a lot of work, on our offensive front and being able to ID in the run game, protection wise. For years, the thing that is difficult too, that comes with that is it's difficult to tell. They do a great job hiding what coverages they're in the pre-snap. It's very difficult to tell whether they're playing cover 4 or some form of a post defense.
Your quarterback has not thrown an interception in several games in a row now. What's the difference? Is he gambling less? Are you blocking better? What's keyed that?
Well, I just knocked a couple times on this table right here. So I feel safe to answer the question now. You know what? He's just been, again, it always comes down to taking what is the defense giving you? He's got to have time too, right? Working as a whole team and the O-line being able to protect him, the tight ends, the tailbacks, all that, and working his progression, staying on time, taking what the defense gives him is what he's done a much better job of. And we did get put behind the sticks a few times last week, Paul J. We are in some longer down situations, not ideal. And we were able to convert those because the O-line protected, and he did a nice job staying through the progression.
Thanks, Coach.
Andy, I missed the first couple of questions, so if this was asked, I apologize. But taking points off the board, you've done that twice now. And in the golden rule of coaching, that's probably a no-no, but it's also a feel thing. How do you approach that? And knock on wood, you're pretty dang successful at it so far.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think the bottom line is knowing that we're going to go into every game on the attack. And there's certain situations where, especially early on, we have the opportunity to score touchdowns. We're going to do that. And so, I remember being a kid running around on the high school field as my dad a coach. And that's when I heard that saying the first time. But we are also on the day of analytics and everything else that if you read into some of the analytics, you would scratch your head too.
Johnny brought up the red zone offense and being able to turn field goals into touchdowns. When it comes to the standard or goals, when it comes to this offense, you guys are still scoring 30 points a game. And I know it's always about if you won 2-1, you don't care. But is there a standard? Is there a goal when it comes to scoring points? And how do you squeeze more points out of this offense?
And more particularly, you're talking about the red zone or overall? Well,
mostly the red zone, but overall, yeah.
Well, when you get a first down on a field goal, you go for it. There's one that you just asked, right? So that's one opportunity. If they're going to move the chains, and we're in a good position there to be able to do that, given the right situation, right, Mike? We can't do that later on in the game. Like later on in the game, you got to take the points and you got to move on, right?
Sure.
But there also is, as we spoke about, it starts with us as coaches. We got to make sure that in all field zones, not just the red zone, but the 4-down zone, third downs, mediums, longs. We got to get better at the longs. We did a better job last week, making sure that through the course of the week that we're putting our guys in a rhythm where they have the utmost confidence in any of these zones or down or distance situational football, right? They have the utmost confidence and mentality to execute what we need to execute, and knowing the looks we're going to get. Now, especially down into the red zone, I would say this: in the last couple of weeks, we got a few different things that were new in the red zone from the defenses we were facing. there was a couple things schematically that Wyoming had not done previous down in that red zone that they did early on. We got to be able to adjust to those things on the fly. And then the next time we're down there, we got to be able to expect those and have those answers. And so that's something in game that we can do a better job of as a staff, is being able to identify those things that we are getting new specific to the game plan to us.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, bud.
Go Jay and then Bob.
Hey, Andy.
What's up, man?
Andy, going back to when Chris Peterson was here, you guys always, had the goal for your players of leaving the program better than they found it. Has this senior class accomplished that? And if so, why?
Well, yeah, we just spoke about their leadership, and especially here recent and what they've been able to do in terms of impacting this environment and the growth here in the last month and a half, and speaking more to that, they've been awesome. And when they come here every single day, and just like today, coming off a couple of days off and them using the time to rest, but coming back today with a purpose to work, to have great meetings, to have a great workout, to go on the field and walk through and clean up some of the things we're talking about, to polish up some of the things that we did well and to move on to the next opponent. I mean, and they did it with a certain energy and purpose and had fun doing it. And it's been really cool to see these guys. We're really grateful to not only for the impact that everyone gets to see on the field, but more importantly for how they impact all of us. I mean, I learn from these guys every day. There's tremendous young men in this program. And it's an honor for all of us to be around them every day. And that's in particular, we had a leadership meeting after practice today and telling those guys that we're just grateful to have the time around them. And we're going to enjoy the rest of the time we do have to be together. And we're going to live in grace and be grateful for each other. And we're going to practice that way. We're going to have meetings that way with every opportunity we have left.
You brought up Rocky Long a couple of times already today, and you said that there's a lot of people that really admire what he's done. What do you really appreciate about Rocky Long, and how well do you know him as a person? Because when he was the head coach of San Diego State, he was always a fun guy to interact with, I guess you could say, at Mountain West Media Days.
Well, I mean, I'd say obviously being a defensive guy on the West Coast and being around, it's years back. It was years back. The only time that I had spent at San Diego State when I was a D-line coach at Nebraska Kearney recruiting in San Diego, and had the opportunity to go actually talk to Brady Hoke and talk through some D-line stuff as a new young D-line coach, and just learning and growing and watching, that defense from that point on. That's my experience, and seeing some of the schemes, obviously, from watching film within the conference, seeing and knowing. I know a lot of the disciples a lot better than I know Coach Long, and I've spent a lot more time with a lot of the guys that have come from his coaching tree, whether it be out on the recruiting trails and again, having the utmost respect for each other. So having great conversations about different things. And they've done a tremendous job.
Coach, when you mentioned that New Mexico runs the option, what is different? What is similar to Air Force's? It seems like not all options are the same. So what are their strengths and what are we going to see?
Yeah, so it's triple option numbers, right? But it's done out of the gun in the pistol, opposed to Air Force being under center, and that is the biggest difference. The formations are obviously slightly different, but all the numbers are the same. The blocking schemes up front, the triple out of the any of the gun sets or the pistol are more zone-based schemes, opposed to old school veer, dive, etc.
And when you have a kicker that has been so good like Jonah Dalmas, does he change? When you get, say, in across the 45 or the 40 heading in, does he change what an offense would do when you have a kicker that's that successful?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the situation, where we're at in the game, what quarter it is, obviously what the score is and things like that, it allows us to be a little bit more aggressive in certain situations. He's been tremendous, obviously, this year. And, at the end of the day, as much as anybody likes it or doesn't like it, the goal is to make sure that every possession ends in a kick. And so, what that looks like, if Jonah's on the field and we're putting points on the board, then we're moving forward.
Thank you.
Go to BJ for a follow-up.
Coach, just kind of big picture, when you're 10 games in and you have all the film on the opponent, when they've played 9-10 games and they've seen you play 9-10 games, how much, do you know what the team's going to do? And it's just, the better team in terms of actually stopping and executing it. I mean, the unknown factor at this point in the season probably isn't as much as maybe earlier in the season. I mean, how many new plays do you have, I guess, that you haven't run before? Is it just kind of, they know what we're going to do, we know what they're going to do, and let's see who does it better? Or how does it change this late in the season?
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword that way, because there is so much film, right? And they have the availability to do this, that, and another. And really, it's formationally. You're right. I mean, every they got their certain plays at this point in the year, but in more particular on offense, how they keep changing it up formationally. And that's going to be the biggest thing, as we go down the stretch here, in particular this week. And it was the same case last week, is what formations does an offense feel like they have an advantage using? And then obviously, the plays that they're capable of running, whether it be in the run game or the pass game. But it takes tremendous work, because there are so many shifts and motions that have gone into this year, and being diligent and trying to cover the map on all those things with the time you have. So again, it's a double-edged sword of making sure that you're covering yourself on all the things, and trying to do your very best too, to not only cover what they have done specific to on their film, but the things too that they're going to go back and watch from what we've done against certain teams like Air Force, and that we needed to be better at. So it's not just their film; it's us knowing what film they're going to watch and what they're going to try to obviously reproduce within their offense.
Last question goes to Jay Tust.
Yeah, Andy, this is the final home game on the Blue this year. And I mean, you've been here before, you're back now. When it comes to the game day atmosphere at Albertson Stadium, I know that you probably don't get a chance to pay attention to some of the specifics or maybe new things, but is there anything that you've noticed? And it could be as simple as the intent and desire to really improve the game day atmosphere from, Jeremiah Dickey on down.
Yeah, there's no question that there's been a huge push, and that is exciting that our leadership, wants to create the best possible game day atmosphere, not only for the student athletes in the department, but obviously the fans and the whole experience. And in doing so too, let's just, giving them credit for the things that they have done and the new things that are going on in a time when it's very difficult for people to find workers. I mean, there's restaurants struggling that can't be open the hours that they wish. There's kitchens that don't have the staffing. Let's we're never going to make excuses, but let's not make a mistake that our leadership is working through all that stuff too on every single game day and what they're doing. And I'll be honest with you, there's people coming out of our athletic department that are showing up and doing things that we need help with on game day, because there's a lack of staffing in every industry right now. And so we're very proud of how hard everybody has been working together. We're very proud. We appreciate Bronco Nation showing up and showing out like they did the other night. It was cool with the blackout. That was awesome. And look forward to, seeing them come and support our seniors here on senior night coming up this weekend, and to support the whole team. And as you said, it being the last opportunity for us this year, and we look forward to seeing them and it being the loudest atmosphere we've had thus far this season. And there will be some things too that we've are even working to improve for this last opportunity at home in the pregame, and what that atmosphere and that environment looks like. So we'd invite everyone out to come out and even get in the stadium a little bit earlier, because it is senior night, and that's what I'll leave it at for that.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Good luck. Good luck against the Lobos.
Thank you guys. Have a good week. We'll see y'all.
Thanks, Andy.